Among the long list of English monarchs, we only find a few who were queen in their own right. Famous examples for this are Queen Elizabeth II and Queen Victoria. While the wife of a British monarch automatically becomes the queen consort, there is no such thing as a king consort in the case that the wife is the reigning monarch. Many might wonder why Prince Philip was never titled as king. The reason for this is that the title of king is higher in rank than the one of queen. This would mean that if the husband of a queen regnant is styled as king, he would be higher up in the rank despite the throne belonging to his wife. Now in Britain there is no such title that automatically passes to the husband of a female monarch, so in this list we are covering today we will find different styles. In the next 10 to 15 minutes you will get to know the handful of husbands to queen regnants as well as two special mentions in the end. Prince George of Denmark and Norway. He was the husband to Queen Anne of Great Britain. Born in Copenhagen, Denmark on April 2, 1653, George was the youngest son of his parents, Frederick III, King of Denmark and Norway, and Sophie Amalie of Brunswick-Lüneburg. Growing up, the young prince of Denmark and Norway received a military education and traveled to Europe a few times. On one of his tours, he received the news that his father suddenly died and that his brother was now king. In 1674, discussions rose to make George King of Poland. This plan was even supported by French King Louis XIV. But as George was a staunch Lutheran and therefore refused to convert, he was not suitable for the throne in Roman Catholic Poland. At the beginning of the 1680s, plans were started to marry George to the niece of King Charles II, Lady Anne. As both monarchies were Protestant and to strengthen the alliance between Denmark and England, the match was widely supported. Without ever meeting, George and Anne were married on July 28, 1683. Anne soon became pregnant and gave birth to a stillborn daughter. A year later, she gave birth to a daughter, Mary, and another year later, Anne Sophia was born. In early 1687, the family contracted smallpox, and Anne, who was pregnant at that time, miscarried. Their two daughters, Mary and Anne Sophia, died within days of each other due to the disease. What would follow were 12 miscarriages or stillbirths, with only one of their children surviving infancy, William, the Duke of Gloucester. But tragically, he also died in 1700 at the age of 11, leaving the couple with no surviving children. In the years 1688 to 1689, the Glorious Revolution took place in England, which deposed King James II, who was Anne's father, with Anne's sister Mary and her husband William as joint monarchs. In early 1689, George was naturalized as an English subject and was made Duke of Cumberland by his brother-in-law, King William III. However, there was much mistrust between the two brothers-in-law. During a military campaign in Ireland against supporters of the deposed King James II, George accompanied the troops but was excluded from command. The tension calmed down when Queen Mary II suddenly died in 1694 and Anne was the heir apparent. In 1702, William died and George's wife, Anne, became queen. Following her ascension as queen, Anne made William Lord High Admiral of the Navy, although this title was only nominal. She also made sure to secure her husband a yearly allowance of £100,000 in the case of her death. Anne even made plans to make, like she called him, her dearly loved husband king consort, but was held back from asking Parliament. In early 1706, George fell ill and began to spit blood, but soon seemed to recover. On October 28, 1708, George died at Kensington Palace of asthma and dropsy, leaving Anne devastated. He was buried at Westminster Abbey. The next queen to reign was Queen Victoria. Her husband was Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha was born on August 26, 1819. He was born at Castle Rosenau in the Duchy of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld. His full name was Francis Albert Augustus Charles Emmanuel. He was the second son of Ernest I, the Duke of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, and Princess Louise of Saxe-Gotha-Altenburg. Albert and his brother were educated by private tutors and later studied in Brussels. At the University of Bonn, Albert would study law, political economy, philosophy, and the history of arts. Albert was also interested in music and sports. We find the first mention of a possible match between Victoria and Albert as early as 1821, when both of them were only 2 years old. In 1836, Queen Victoria's mother, who was Prince Albert's aunt, invited the two brothers over to London. There, Victoria and Albert met for the first time. Victoria fell in love and the feelings were mutual. Victoria ascended to the throne at only 18 in 1837 and did not wish to rush into marriage, so she waited 2 years until she invited Albert over. She proposed to him in October 1839 and the marriage took place in early 1840. After the marriage, Albert's title was widely discussed. Victoria wished to style him as King Consort, but the Prime Minister turned her down. In addition, Parliament refused to create him a peer in order to limit his political powers. For the next 17 years, Albert was therefore simply known as His Royal Highness Prince Albert. In 1857, Queen Victoria granted her beloved husband the title of Prince Consort. Albert is so far the only person in the UK to have held this title. Prince Albert quickly became an influential figure in Queen Victoria's life and reign. Despite not having a formal constitutional role, he played a crucial role as her advisor, confidant, and partner in both public and private matters. His influence extended to various areas, including foreign policy, cultural development, and social reforms. Prince Albert's intelligence, knowledge, and pragmatism helped shape Queen Victoria's perspective and decisions. The marriage of Victoria and Albert was unusually good for the time. They had 9 children together, which all reached adulthood. Prince Albert had a deep appreciation for the arts and sciences. He was a strong advocate for education and worked tirelessly to promote scientific research and innovation. In 1843, he became the president of the Society for the Encouragement of Arts, Manufacturers, and Commerce, which aimed to improve industrial design and craftsmanship. Prince Albert also played a big role in organizing the Great Exhibition of 1851, a groundbreaking event that showcased Britain's industrial and cultural achievements. Tragically, Prince Albert's life was cut short at the age of 42 when he died of typhoid fever on December 14, 1861. Queen Victoria was devastated by his death and entered a prolonged period of mourning. She died in 1901, leaving the throne to her son Edward. It would take 51 years until the next Queen Regnant would rule over Britain. This time it was Queen Elizabeth II. Her husband was Prince Philip of Greece and Denmark. Born as Prince Philip of Greece and Denmark on June 10, 1921, he was the only son of Prince Andrew of Greece and Denmark and Princess Alice of Battenberg. His family was closely related to many European royal families. However, due to the political instability in Greece, the family was forced into exile and Philip spent his early years in various countries including France, Germany, and the United Kingdom. Prince Philip joined the British Royal Navy in 1939 following the outbreak of World War II. He demonstrated great skills as a naval officer and quickly rose through the ranks. During the war, he served with distinction, taking part in several operations and earning high praise for his bravery and leadership. Prince Philip was mentioned in dispatches and was later awarded several military honors. After initially meeting the future Queen Elizabeth II in 1939 and exchanging letters for many years, Prince Philip asked her father, George VI, for her hand in marriage. Their engagement was announced in July 1947. Before this, Philip was naturalized as a British subject and stopped using his foreign titles. A day before the wedding, Philip was granted the style of Royal Highness, and on the morning of the wedding he was created the Duke of Edinburgh by his future father-in-law. The wedding took place at Westminster Abbey on November 21, 1947. A year after the wedding, their first child, Charles, was born, and 3 more children followed during their long marriage. In 1952, Elizabeth suddenly became queen when her father died on February 6, 1952. Elizabeth announced that Philip was to have place preeminence and precedence next to her on all occasions in all meetings except where otherwise provided by Act of Parliament. She also ensured that Philip would act as regent in the case that she passed away while their heir was still a minor. Philip kept the title Duke of Edinburgh his whole life. He was never created a prince consort like in the case of Prince Albert. Prince Philip's role as Duke of Edinburgh was one of unwavering support to Queen Elizabeth II throughout her reign. He accompanied her on numerous state visits representing the monarchy and the United Kingdom on a global scale. His natural charm, wit, and dedication to public service endeared him to people around the world. Prince Philip passed away on April 9, 2021, at the age of 99. His passing marked the end of an era and left a void in the British royal family. He was the longest-serving consort in history, and he and Elizabeth shared the longest royal marriage of all time. Now to end today's video, I have 2 special mentionings. The first one is to Philip II of Spain. He was the husband of Queen Mary. He was made King of England by right of his wife, meaning that while his wife was alive, she shared her power with him. His reign ended with the death of Queen Mary. The next mention goes to King William III, the husband of Queen Mary II. Mary and William were first cousins with both strong claims to the English throne, but Mary's claims were stronger. William demanded to be king in his own right so they could act as joint monarchs. He got his way and was crowned with his wife in 1689. In his case, William reigned as king after the death of Mary and was succeeded by his sister-in-law Anne, whom we covered earlier.